Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Inner World podcast. I am your host, Dr. Pedro Cortina. In this podcast, we aim to explore the most powerful, efficient, joyful, and sustainable models of inner transformation out there. Thank you for joining us today. Today, let's talk about the sense of separation, be it separation from others, feeling that we're separated from others, or internal separation from ourselves. This is a very common phenomena in our world nowadays that we can also refer to as a sense of isolation, a sense of not being part of, a sense of not being able to be a part of or be with in general. And there's two aspects to the experience of separation, and I've mentioned both already. External separation from others would be one, and internal separation from ourselves would be the other. It is quite common, though, that when we experience separation, we experience both kinds of separation. It's quite common. As we feel separated from others, we feel separated from ourselves, and vice versa. And in this podcast, in this episode, I would love to explore what is the origin of this experience, and also explore exercises or methodologies that we can actually use to address a sense of separation that we may be experiencing. Separation is a sense of not belonging with others, or not belonging with ourselves. And that generally has its roots in an exaggerated or probably a little bit misconstrued sense of self that we developed throughout our early years and growing up, probably. Separation is experienced when we originally feel we're not fitting in, when we originally feel we are different, when we originally feel that we're too much or that we are not enough. And we generally get our first glimpses of separation through messages from the outside world, from family interactions, probably from school interactions as well, from certain authorities. And as we do that, as we experience these messages of criticism or not being enough, our own capacity to address those is generally limited at the time. And so what happens is that we make these assumptions about ourselves that are generally assumptions around lack of capacity. And as this happens, it accumulates in a way that it becomes something that we end up carrying as baggage in our lives. It generally first starts with a sense of separation from others. So I don't feel right in this environment, I don't fit in, or I'm experiencing messages or criticism, or my emotional needs are not sustained or held. And we begin to experience separation. What also happens is that our sense of self internally begins to fracture, or it begins to generate isolated areas in an effort to establish safe spaces internally and make fragments of discomfort that we can isolate internally and somehow move them out of the way. Some people refer to these as exiles, internal exiles of awareness around who we are in a way that can allow us to move forward. So, as we begin to experience internal separation, we begin to feel an experience of inner loneliness. As we begin to exile part of us that have the potential to generate discomfort or pain, we begin to experience this isolation as internal separation. When we feel internally separated, there's a sense of lack, there's a sense of loneliness, there's a sense of confusion, not understanding. There's often an experience of consistently comparing ourselves to others, trying to understand why others do fit in and probably we don't, at least in the aspect or in the dimension that we're exploring. And what happens in the end is that we end up becoming weary of others and ourselves. And this is a very isolated, separated, and lonely space to live. The excessive pointing of risk as we grow up, I mean excessive, the excessive pointing of risk as we grow up could be one of the sources of this separation. There's nothing wrong with pointing to risk for the purposes of being healthy and survive and happy, but when we develop societies where risk becomes a political tool, or the use of risk or the exaggeration of risk and danger become a political tool or a social tool or a parental tool, what we end up producing is a society, a culture that feels weary and separated from ourselves and from others. And that is certainly what I believe to be one of the reasons for this enormous social phenomenon around increased isolation and increased loneliness throughout the world. Another reason why this happens at a social level has to do with relationships. The more we disproportionately present relationships as something that we need to be weary of, or something that we need to be excessively or irrationally careful about, would also generally produce this sense of separation, this sense of inner loneliness. And the essence of it is because we're actually harming our capacity to develop trust within ourselves and with others. If everything has some potentially devastating risk of becoming dangerous or of hurting ourselves or others, we are going to develop an infrastructure, a social infrastructure, and probably a family infrastructure, and probably an educational infrastructure, where this excessive drive towards safety will generally generate an experience of disconnection and mistrust. And we can go back as far as we want, and of course this phenomenon is always being around. But what we can also see is that when individuals or societies live in this space of lack of trust for prolonged periods of time, there tends to be a natural crumbling or dissolution of the structures that we're trying to hold. And when it comes to a sense of self, it can be quite problematic, because the dissolution or the crumbling of our sense of self is generally associated with intense mental health situations or conditions as well. So separation is addressed or actualized into trust. They are both they both relate to each other in that way. The more we feel connected internally and with others, the more we experience ourselves as having a capacity to trust others and, of course, ourselves. And one of the exercises I often use to address this sense of separation is a beautiful meditation that has its origins in Tibetan Buddhism, and many people refer to it as the giving and receiving meditation. So if you'd be willing and interested, it would be my joy to guide a short giving and receiving meditation as part of this episode. This is the giving and receiving meditation. So find a comfortable space to sit down or lie down. And as you do that, if it feels comfortable, feel free to close your eyes and take several deep breaths. And as you do that, kindly and gently, move your attention inside. Simply become a witness of whatever is going on inside of you, emotions, sensations, images, thoughts. Just allow yourself to be a witness of all internal phenomena. You can be a witness of your body sensations too, or become a witness of the sounds in the room. And as you become a witness to everything you're experiencing internally and externally, take a couple more deep breaths and just relax into this witnessing. And now, I invite you to visualize in front of you the closest group of people you interact with. It could be your family, your friends, your work colleagues, just right in front of you at about 6 feet, 2 meters from you. And just notice they're all there. And right behind them, notice that you begin to add acquaintances and people that probably you may not know too well, just right behind them. And as you do that, continue adding groups of people towards the background. People that you may not feel comfortable with. People that you may feel antagonistic towards even. People that you may love dearly and deeply. Just allow these groups of people to begin to appear in front of you, kindly and gently. And after you do that, at the background of all of these groups of people, just continue adding groups of people that you don't know personally, like people in your town or in your city or in your country or in your continent. Go all the way back until you add every single human in this world. Kindly and gently, softly, visualizing these groups from loving to antagonizing to neutral to not knowing to the members of bigger communities, your town, your country, the world. And now notice how from each and every one of them there's this dark smoke of natural apprehension and confusion emanating from them. This dark smoke that symbolizes our bias, our projections, our fears, our misunderstandings, our sense of disconnection, our sense of separation. And let it emanate and let it emanate. And now visualize in the center of your chest a marbled-sized, intense, white light that radiates in all directions with power and clarity that is fully resourced and that is fully available. And now I invite you to inhale kindly and gently, softly and compassionately. Inhale the dark smoke that is emanating from every single human being in front of you. And as you inhale the smoke, it travels into your heart. And as soon as it touches your heart, there's a beautiful explosion of bright, white, trusting, compassionate, loving light that transforms all of this dark smoke into white energy. And then exhale that white energy back towards every single person that is in front of you. So again, we inhale the smoke. There's a bright light explosion. It turns everything into clarity, spaciousness, compassion, and we exhale white energy back towards everybody. And we inhale again. Dark smoke, and then the light shines intensely and transforms everything into this white energy, and we exhale back to everyone. Again, we inhale the dark smoke. It touches the radiance, and it gets transformed into trust, compassion, and light, and we exhale. And we do this just for a few minutes, inhaling dark smoke, transforming it inside, and exhaling white light or white energy. Inhale, transform, exhale. Inhale, transform, exhale. Inhale, transform, exhale. Inhale, transform, exhale. Slowly but surely, kindly and gently, as we do this, the dark smoke starts to become lighter, less dense, and we continue to inhale this less dense smoke, and we transform it and we exhale it as radiant energy. And as we do that, the smoke we inhale is more and more that same energy. The smoke we inhale becomes more and more that same energy we are exhaling. Until we get to a point where we are inhaling radiant, white, subtle energy. It's coming to our heart, and we exhale the exact same energy. Inhale light energy, exhale light energy. Inhale light energy, exhale light energy. Inhale light energy, exhale light energy. And I invite you to continue to do this for a few minutes before we come back out. And at this point, allow yourself to experience the connection, the closeness, the openness, the absence of internal and external separation that is generated through this exercise. And allow yourself to relax into that. Allow yourself to relax into that. And as you do that, again, kindly and gently, begin to notice the sounds outside, the sensations in your body. Begin to slowly notice and open your eyes. And notice the sense of expansiveness, the sense of unity, the sense of trust. And invite yourself to hold this energy, to hold this trust as you go about into your day. Thank you for joining us today. See you next time.